Helen Fares. I'm a documentary filmmaker, TV host, psychologist, human rights activist, and I'm the founder of the Lemon Tree Collective. So I'm Syrian, but I grew up in a city called Leipzig in Germany, East Germany. In Leipzig, we have a very big so-called leftist Zionist scene, so any criticism of the Israeli apartheid regime was shut down as being anti-Semitic, which of course is the Zionists' favorite killer argument. But as I grew older and I learned more about the horrendous things that the Palestinian people have gone through and still are going through, and this is way before the genocide started, I made it my responsibility about 4 or 5 years ago to start doing educational work, hoping that it would, bring some knowledge to the people and then change their minds and get them to be on the streets and on the right side of history too. The repression that we're facing in Germany for any form of solidarity with the Palestinian people is, or was, extremely shocking to me. I would have never in my wildest dreams have thought that this would be possible in Germany. The police violence at the protests, the raids, the firing of people that are in solidarity with Palestine. And we're talking about, jobs that are both in the public system, like my job that was for the German public media networks, but we're also talking about jobs in the private sector. I was very shocked to see that this is actually possible in Germany, and it strongly reminds me of fascist things that I've seen in history books and documentaries that I watched growing up. So it's scary, and a lot of people that I know are scared to a degree that they are talking about wanting to leave the country. I used to work for SWR, which is a network within the German public media networks. And I used to host a show for them, as I've done for multiple other networks for the past, I don't even know, 7, 8, 9 years. And I was always very vocal on what was happening in Palestine. So when I got that specific job, another colleague of mine had been fired quite recently prior to this. Her name is Nimir Hassan, and she was fired for joining a protest for Palestine many years before she was supposed to get a job, also for the public German media networks. And then there was a big smear campaign against her, and she lost her job, which was horrendous. And then when I got my job, I talked to them and I said to them, listen, I always speak about Palestine, and I will never stop speaking about Palestine until Palestine is free. And I just got to know, are you going to have my back? Because there will be smear campaigns against me, not because I'm talking about Palestine, but because publishing networks like Springer Verlag, for example, that have tabloids like Bild and Welt, they have a silent war that is not so silent against the German public media networks. So anybody that works for the media networks will be attacked for whatever it is that they're doing that is easily attackable. So I said to them, they don't care about me as a person, and I know this because there are so many other activists that do this work. They care about harming you as a network. So they will come for me and attack me in order to delegitimize whatever it is that you are doing. Do you have my back, yes or no? And they said, yes, of course we do. And I was like, okay, cool. But at the back of my mind, I was like, of course I know that this is not true. But I just wanted to have this conversation because I knew that this was going to happen. I never thought that a genocide was going to happen, but I deep in my heart knew that I was going to be at some point fired for my activism on Palestine. And eventually I was fired after a very big smear campaign, because after the genocide has started, I talked about the very legal and peaceful way of protesting, which is boycotting. So then a big shitstorm happened. the tabloids talked about me. I don't even want to speak about this too much, to be honest, because I don't want it to take up so much space when we talk about Palestine. But I do think that it is important to speak about it briefly, to understand how crazy it is, what is happening in Germany, how intense the silencing is, how intense the criminalization of us and our people is in this country. So yeah, I then lost the job, and I was actually smiling when it happened, because I said to them, "Are you sure? And are you sure that you want to take money away from me right now? Because we're literally getting people out of the country to save their lives with that money. Are you sure?" I asked that again. I said, "Are you sure? Really?" And they said yes, and I just laughed. My friend who was on this call as well, she messaged me. She was like, "Stop laughing." I said, "I can't. This is absolutely insane, and I cannot believe it." And I knew history would show. And I mean, we're here now a year later, and history has already shown. When I lost that job, I said, fuck them. First of all, because I knew that what I was doing was right. And what they were doing was absolutely nothing to change the horrendous things that are happening in Gaza and in the West Bank. I started off saying I'm an educational activist because I wanted or believed that if people are really educated enough, they will put so much pressure on politicians that whatever Germany is doing to support the Israeli apartheid regime is not possible anymore. But then my educational work went on for years and years and years, and then the genocide started, and I sat there and I was like, yeah, I know that most of my followers, have consumed this educational work for the past couple of years. So what is happening right now, they understood that this isn't happening in a vacuum. But at the same time, is it leading to everybody going on strike? No. Is it actually saving even one person's life? No, probably not. So I just went on Instagram and I looked as long as I could until I found people that were doing work that actually had an impact on Palestinians in Gaza at that time. I said, I'm going to just found my own organization, which is the Lemon Tree Collective, and we're going to do evacuations ourselves. So this is how the Lemon Tree Collective was born. So I founded the Lemon Tree Collective in the beginning of 2024, and some very wonderful friends of mine have joined. And our core work at that time was evacuations of extremely vulnerable and sick children mainly, and their mothers, because at that time it was very, very hard to get men, even the sickest men, out of Gaza. So we coordinated with the Egyptian Foreign Ministry, which sounds like this big thing, and I really want to demystify these things because it always sounds like this kind of activism is so hard, but it really wasn't. Because at the end of the day, we have to remember that it's always just a human being making some decision. The problem in that whole thing was that they asked for so much money. So I then chose, of course, to use my platform to do fundraising in order to get people out of Gaza, pay the Egyptian Foreign Ministry to evacuate people from Gaza into Egypt. And then some of them were capable of supporting themselves in Egypt, because it is very tough for them to find work if they're even allowed to work at all. And some of them were then supported by other organizations to survive there. But then the border between Palestine and Egypt was seized by the Israeli occupation forces. And we had to change our mission. We had to change what we were doing. So we made the decision of, because there are so many Palestinians that are now in Egypt, and they are basically on the streets if they don't get any support, because a lot of them don't have money and they have nobody to support them. We started with a mission in Cairo, paying for people's rents, urgent medical needs, and food. Then we expanded the project to the south of Gaza, where we have an operations manager who buys food, buys tents, and gives it to the people who are in need. And then we added a project in the north of Gaza, which was a little bit harder because prices are a lot higher in the north of Gaza, and there was a lot less access to food and tents, etc. And now, just quite recently, we've also added a project in a village in the west of Syria, which is where my family is from. I think it was Angela Davis who said that whatever skill it is that you have, if you're an artist, if you're an organizer, if you're a speaker, if you're whatever it is that you have, use it for the cause. So, I can give you multiple examples. You can also, use AI to do that. But if you're an artist, okay, great. Then you can make art and sell it and donate the money to a fundraiser. Or you can message people that organize protests and help them design whatever it is that they're having to design for their protest, right? If you're a speaker, then maybe you can help a person that has political knowledge to write their speeches. If you are an athlete, a famous athlete, which I believe not a lot of the people watching this are, but even if you are that, you can use your platform. You can even use your body. You can just wear our signs of commitment to the cause of solidarity with the indigenous people of Palestine, and just use whatever it is that you have to protest and to stand in solidarity with the Palestinians. It just has to get better. It just has to get better. It cannot stay like this. And I have to have a part in it. I have to do whatever it is that I can to help, support, serve. It has to get better. It's so bad. It just has to. I can't really say that it's hopeful, but there's a fight in me rather than hope, I guess. The worst thing that can happen to you is nothing in comparison to what Palestinians are going through right now. If you lose your job, that's horrible, and I understand. But that is nothing in comparison to what the Palestinians are going through. If you lose a couple of friends, which, both of those things have happened to me, and it sucks, but you probably will win some good friends. The things that we are scared of are oftentimes things that capitalism has taught us that we need to be scared of most: losing money, which of course is very scary in this society. But what I've seen happen was when I lost that one job that I had, so many people came and wanted to support me. And I'm a person, I love to travel. I travel a lot. I was connected to people that from all over the world that were just open to hosting me for free, And of course, it's a different situation because I'm in the public, but I've seen people truly come together and help each other. So whatever it is you're scared of, connect with people that do the same thing as you, that are scared of the same things as you, and talk to them and see that what you're scared of is probably not as bad as it seems. And the cause is truly worth it. We have to. We have to do something. These images that people from Gaza are sharing with torn apart bodies of children and all these horrendous things that none of us ever thought that we were going to see. Not one person of us is sharing these things for you to sit in bed and be like, oh my God, that's so horrible. We're sharing this so you understand that this is happening, most likely supported by your tax money, and we need you to take action. Speak up on the streets and protest. Organize with other people. Just message as many people as you can and just organize. Whatever it is. You can do a yard sale. You can organize a protest. Educate yourself on how protesting works. Do that. Organize a strike. Be loud on social media if that's your tool. Talk to your parents about it. Talk to your people about it. Whatever it is that you can do, please do it. If you have money, give money to the cause. Find an organization that you believe in, people that you trust, and give money. And fundraise even more. And the crazy thing is, I'm saying let it radicalize you as though the things that I just said were actually radical. None of it is radical. But in this country, in Germany, and even in the US, this would be considered radical. So let me say, let it radicalize you. So you go protest peacefully on the street or go on a strike. This is nothing. Let us do this. Let these images have that impact on you so you actually try to make a change. Because if we all just strike, all just protest, they can't not stop this. The people in power are not in power by magic. They're in power because we have a so-called democracy, the power of the people in this country. We have the right to vote. We have the right to pressure them. And we have to. This is our responsibility. So be radical and let these images actually make you do something so we don't keep seeing these things happening in this world.